Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to OnFest 2013's League of Legends tournament, powered by Chaos TV. Both these teams looking to take a split of the €5,000 prize pool. We have neXt, Please, and Guru Gaming. I'm Pulse, and I'm joined by Spuddington.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about the little bit of a delay. We have been having some organizational issues with respect to getting people into games, getting lobbies set up, so things are underway now, and hopefully the next time will be a little bit quicker at least. But, as you say, Guru Gaming and neXt, Please. Again, Pulse, unlike yourself and Metas, I have not been casting. I've only casted one game this tournament, so I haven't actually seen either of these teams. Have you previously done so?
No, because this is a different group.
I had no idea. So, organizational problems, as I've mentioned, and I obviously have no knowledge of anything. So, doesn't really matter. We're going into this fresh, no preconceptions. Isn't that a nice way of looking at it?
Yes, absolutely. I actually have seen AOD in Gabano before. I'm pretty sure we've casted them at some point. I want to say in the Challenger series. I feel like AOD's been there before. But either way, now Guru Gaming and neXt, Please. We'll see what they're going to bring to the table. Ari, Fresh, Lee Sin, Vi, Zed, and Corki will be ban out. Fairly standard, honestly, in the current meta and how everything thinks everything is falling. Corki, of course, one of those champions who's kind of come back into the league very recently because of the phase changes, how good Trinity Force is nowadays, as well as his mana cost being slashed in half, so he's in very good shape. First couple picks will be Atrox from Guru Gaming alongside Renekton and Jarvan from neXt, Please.
Yeah, so I expect the reason for that Renekton is to shut out the possibility of an Aatrox top lane. If it is that Aatrox top lane, going up against Renekton is not a very fun matchup. Just a very, very strong pick overall in general. Renekton as well functions well in 2v1s, also functions pretty well in just about every 1v1 matchup you could think of. So we'll see what the counter to that chosen is. Does look like it's going to be Shen, and that doesn't surprise me particularly either. Renekton versus Shen goes in Renekton's favor early, but eventually Shen will get to be Shen.
Yeah, I feel like any character you can build a Trinity Force on is good nowadays, and I like to call it the Freak Conspiracy, but we'll see how this works out for the rest of Champion Select, and potentially Caitlyn being locked in here by Scorpion, and Diana as well, not quite being locked in just as of yet. Diana is a champion we don't see all that often, considering we kind of have this trifecta of mid laners, which is Zed, Ahri, and Fizz. But we'll see if this comes down. Ahri, of course, has been banned out alongside Zed, so only leaving Fizz open, and I wouldn't say that Fizz is in everyone's mid laners champion pool.
Yeah, but also when you mention the trifecta, you're kind of missing out on the Lissandra there, who has been locked in, is a very, very strong mid laner in her own right. Zed, Ahri have been banned out, and Fizz does take a very unique skill set. Some people don't seem to play him quite as optimally as you would like, Reginald, so with that Lissandra being locked in, yeah, we can expect to, it's a solid pick. It's not easy to counter Lissandra in lane.
Yeah, I mean, with that trifecta, I mean, Lissandra is seen a lot in the top lane as well, so when it comes to pure mid laners and people who generally stick in the mid lane because of the roaming capability, it generally comes down to Ahri, Zed, and Fizz, of course. But in this case, as a kind of exception to the rule, will be Lissandra probably getting into the mid lane, depending on the matchups, of course, and seeing what they bring into the top lane. So it looks like Caston, potentially for the last pick. And I could see that working, definitely in the mid lane. See if they decide to swap up. They've already brought out the Caitlyn, waiting on their support. So something like a Zara right now would be really good to shut down something like Kassadin.
Yeah, but I will say, with that Kassadin being locked in, that gives them a good kind of maneuvering advantage before the game has ever even started. With Kassadin against Lissandra in a 1v1 matchup, that's hugely advantageous to Kassadin. That means they know probably they're going to try and put Renekton or the duo lane against Kassadin. That gives them that edge in the swap-ups. But I do believe we'll be going into a very quick break while the game loads, so we will be right back after this.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Hate that because that could be misconstrued. So in the mid lane we've got both of the teams, well they were pinging beforehand and they were thinking about where they might want to go to, but it looks like these guys are just going to kind of fan out and look for the invade if they can, but now both of them finding each other in the mid lane, they're going to try and cover all the exits and entrances. However, we do see Guru Gaming transitioning into the top. neXt could be caught with his pants down, he will see them back on off, and he has the luxury to potentially skill into slice and dice if he wants to, but at the same time Guru will notice that they have been spotted, so they could back on off. Something we saw Copenhagen Wolves Youngbook do was actually wait in the brush, which is just north and then east of that, and then that would allow him to see them, but them not able to see him, if you know what I mean.
I am actually not entirely sure what you mean. So which brush were you saying he was waiting in?
The one right next to the lane. The kind of line
Oh,
brush.
so like that little bit of river brush?
Yeah, so he was essentially, well, not the river brush, it's the lane brush.
But
The one next to golems.
next to go. Oh, right there. Oh, okay. Pfft, I got confused by your directions. Right.
North
Okay,
and
fair
then
enough.
East is north and then east, not south and then west.
Well, you could have said up and then right.
Yes, but
Also, I wasn't really listening.
good job.
Doesn't help. Anyway, we do have Guru sending their duo lane to this top now. Going to be putting Renekton up against Vayne and Fiddlesticks. That's actually going to be pretty good against Renekton, but they have left this Kassadin versus Lissandra one-on-one matchup, and that is not a matchup I would want to happen.
No, the North Sphere makes it very difficult for Lissandra to do anything. I mean, at least in the first couple levels she can auto-attack him down, and the harassment should be, well, something that she can really deal with. But she's not the type of champion you would pick against Kassadin to completely shut him down, which was kind of what I was expecting Zarya to be picked with Caitlyn, and then for them to swap into the mid lane. But in fact, in the top lane we have the swap coming in from Guru, and Fiddlesticks is putting down a bit of damage, just a bit of poke on to Renekton. And now we do have Crow Assassin looking for the gank onto the top lane, potentially going OMG style and looking for that very early tower dive.
That is what Aatrox does extremely well, and they've frozen the lane actually not as efficiently as perhaps they might want on Guru's side, so Renekton has hit level 2. That's going to be crucial in determining whether Aatrox can go for this. They're not zoning him out strongly enough. Unless they can get a really clutch condemn, this is going to be a very risky play.
Absolutely, and now with Jarvan heading up into the top, he's going to be farming those golems because he doesn't really want that gank to happen just as of yet, but with Elfie coming down, they will see well, not AMD, that's somebody out. It's really confusing because it's the other way around, but the Dark Flight comes out, and Gavano putting down some damage, flash over the wall in fact, because he had already used that cooldown of Dark Flight. Flag and Drag comes in, they could turn this around, another Condemn comes out, but Alex PC coming up into the top, I feel like that's not his name. And Kassadin also coming in there as well, and the fact that they have those company names after their names is very, very confusing to me as a caster.
So are they individually sponsored by each of these things, I'm guessing?
Think so. I'm not really sure.
That's dedication right
It is.
there. But regardless, okay, I want to talk about yes, that thing at top has not really worked out for them, and Jarvan is coming in from the backside, so I will not start this point right now. Renekton is going in, but gets condemned.
Yeah, gets condemned out, and the Ignite comes down as well, but again, keep wanting to call him AMD. But Jarvan is in the top lane, kind of just waiting there, allowing Gabano to get some of that farm, but that's all he's really looking for.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that mid lane matchup a little bit more, because you mentioned that it can be really, really nasty for that Kassadin, because Lissandra has difficulty shutting him down. But it's not only that, he also has the ability to silence her and prevent her from using that escape ability it's a long enough silence that he cannot actually cast the second component of the glacial path, and that is a really dangerous thing if you're up against a teleporting mid laner when he's hit level 6. Plus she's not able to shut him down, plus he can null sphere at the same range she can Q him. It's a really, really bad matchup, and I just want to highlight just how bad it is.
Yeah, it's not a fun time for Lissandra essentially, and if you can't shut Caston down pre-6, then you're opening up a huge amount of, well, opportunity, and now, in fact, Alex will be able to get out with the Glacial Path, but finds himself caught by Aatrox. Not the right sort of timing with Null Sphere, I'm not even sure if he had it at that time, and one of those things that could have been a lot worse had he used his spells at the right times.
Yeah, but this is actually not looking brilliant right now for neXt, please, because Guru Gaming have a cataclysmically powerful late game team, and it's going to start scaling up very soon. Vayne is incredibly strong, Aatrox is incredibly strong, Shen is incredibly strong, Kassadin is incredibly strong. If they don't kind of start building up an advantage now, or at least get a really significant advantage in the mid-game fights, they are going to have a hell of a time trying to make this game work for them if it goes long. It's not impossible for them to do well, even if it does, because they have a decent late-game team, but it's a really strong late-game team from Guru.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, it's not even like a power curve coming in from neXt, please, either. Like, they have a good early game, and the Renekton kind of, well, goes down the curve, like kind of has like a linear decline unless he actually gets those kills, unless he can start itemizing. But you can only really afford to go for one damage item on Renekton before having to go tank. He'll still have some damage inbuilt, but it will get very scary for them when Vayne gets into the late game. So I wouldn't say it's a complete like ticking time bomb essentially for neXt, please, but they really need to step it up. They need to make sure they don't fall behind in the early game, because they definitely have the advantage inherently.
Also worth noting, I actually think Fiddlesticks might qualify under certain circumstances for being the strongest late game support, and I'm gonna qualify that statement now because there is a Zyra in this game, and she is also extremely strong. But the simple fact that he has an on-target 3-second fear means that no bruiser can then get to your AD carry for free in that late game. That is unbelievably huge. Plus he has that very disruptive silence. Plus he has the massive base damage on Crowstorm. But that ability to just stun up someone who goes in for that long is so valuable in that late game. It can't be overstated.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point to bring up, and when they do have people like Jarvan, even like Alex, who would like to initiate like that, if you can put the Terrify at the right time, and he doesn't transition immediately from the Glacial Path into Frozen Tomb, then you could catch Lissandra and basically mitigate that entire ultimate, that big AoE ultimate. Meanwhile, Aatrox dropping low in the bot lane, has been flashing up red, taking some damage from the plant, still has his Blood Well passive, but doesn't really want to waste it in this type of scenario. Piltover comes out, flash as well, nets backwards out of Jesper's E, and now flank drag over the wall from Jarvan. Will be backing on off, but very well. Honestly, I think the flash forward was really worth it to get that passive off Aatrox.
Yeah, well, taking the passive off alone would not probably have been worth it. It's a much longer cooldown on flash. However, the simple fact that he is now able to take that tower at bot, move on to the dragon, and top lane is still doing very, very well up there, that's going to give them this big mid-game spike in gold and give them the map control right now. That's giving them a big advantage. They can now try and take this, try and get this to snowball in their advantage. And that's kind of exactly what they need. That's what we were discussing. They need this mid-game power spike to be used effectively.
Yeah, I feel that the Bloodwell passive is more valuable than the Flash though, especially when you get into a skirmish. I mean, yes, Flash is amazing, and it has a longer cooldown, but for Aatrox, that's one of the main core components of his kit, and especially for early game when you want to be using it, you know, in the place where you get a kill for your passive. That's exactly what you want from his passive, but to have that taken away from him removes a lot of his threat, at least from the early game. Now he's just an average jungler. So that's kind of scary from Guru, but they do have better late game scaling regardless. And Gabano taking some hits, but not going to be too unhappy. Vayne is slightly ahead of Caitlyn in CS, but of course the global gold advantage from both the dragon and the turret will help them in that regard.
Yeah, and we'll see now if Kassadin is able to make stuff happen. He's reached that level 6 now, level 7 in fact, and he is a very, very strong roamer in this mid game. And it's going to be up to him to see his team through this phase. This is now kind of a very important phase, because neXt please need to capitalize strongly on how powerful they are right now, and he needs to not flash, rift walk right into the middle of them and get stunned up, but flash out. And we've actually got the ace in the hole coming in. This looks like it could blow up.
Yeah, the Frozen Tomb comes in, and the Ring of Frost looks for the Glacial Path, doesn't choose to follow up, however. Not seeing Fiddlesticks on the map. However, with Vayne still being in the top, kind of surprised he didn't go all in on that. Didn't have the flash, but still had the Ignite. Now Dace coming into the mid lane, and you can't really go for this, and Jarvan's also looking to collapse onto Fiddlesticks. Cataclysm comes down, Flash comes out, looking for that flag and drag. There it is, auto attacks to follow off. Now with the Terrify coming out, the Glacial Path over the wall, Alex actually freezes for a second. Flash, in fact, the Knight Caliber net and the Piltover, not quite enough to pick up the kill onto Fiddlesticks. But again, another tower, and they're starting to build up that momentum. But in the mid lane, in the bot lane, Shen is starting to push his own way.
Yeah, he's got that Stand United available, so that's going to force neXt Gaming to back away. However, like you say, that's a big chunk of gold now that they've got in their advantage. They're getting that momentum going, they're getting that map control. The mid tower going to be really important for that. Yes, there is still this late game threat, but Kassadin actually not getting as much done right now. If he's constantly forced to react to the Caitlyn pushing pressure, that's actually going to suit him rather poorly. It does look like Gabano is going to be going for LT in this.
He's looking for the... In fact, Sun United comes in. Golden Aegis as well for a bit of shielding, but they're still chasing down the Renekton. First Blood comes out. Flag and Drag to get out of dodge. Also, Fiddlesticks looking to move into the top lane. Scorpion on the wings, and Zara also heading into the top lane, but the 5-man push, very little you can do about that. In the bot lane, they do have some saving grace. They do have an answer in the form of Lissandra, but there's very little they can do in this scenario.
Yeah, they will be exchanging that top tower for a decent amount of health on this bottom one. Lissandra won't push that down very quickly, and now the game is, can they stop the recall from Guru? And can they to give Lissandra more time to push without getting, too overextended and without getting actually engaged upon, because they would lose in a straight fight.
It was actually quite smart from Kassadin, realizing that they're probably going to try and disrupt them anyway. Kassadin essentially just walks down bot lane. I say that, but he's just pushing down mid, so not really sure what his play is there, because he would have gotten to bot regardless, and now he might actually just end up losing his tower, and he won't be able to pick up mid in return because Renekton respawned. So gonna have to query that move from Zambano Rex.
Got to get that XP. He does, however, now have the potential to chase down Lissandra. Lissandra actually really is just going to walk away, so I don't really know quite how that works. But regardless, Kassadin just going to be farming himself up, getting that XP, and Jarvan in the top lane getting condemned.
Condemn against the wall, and the Blades of Torment picks up the kill. He was very keen to try and get that Bloodwell off of Crow Assassin. Did manage to do so, but paid with it for his life. Now, that was a 1-for-0 trade, 2-0 currently on the scoreline, but still ahead will be neXt Please with a strong 2-turret advantage.
Yeah, they are, not so far ahead that they're really, really snowballing out of control, but LT does get caught in the top.
Some damage comes out, but doesn't completely follow up on that one.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just I reflex pressed my microphone mute button halfway through a sentence. But regardless, there will be some farming going on, and the continual grasping roots don't seem to be working out. Renekton is there, though. I don't think he's really going to be able to dive this, though.
And Kassadin falls in the mid lane. It wasn't like a prolonged engagement, it was just essentially Lissandra bursting Kassadin down. But in the top lane, Fiddlesticks charging up the ultimate. Darklight comes in, locks up Gabano, and AOD not in good shape, will be nuked down immediately with the Stranglethorns, knocks up Free, looks to the re-engagement. Cold the Meat comes out, picks up the kill, and LT and Dako back on off. But meanwhile, looking to close up the kills. With Jarvan and Lissandra around the side, Cataclysm comes in, can't quite get out of there, doesn't have the mana for the Q, and double kill comes in, one for Lissandra and one for Jarvan.
Nice little Cataclysm there, that secures them another tower, that secures them even more farm advantage. Yes, Shen will be able to take down this outer tower, so it's going to be a straight exchange of... Actually, no, Caitlyn is not taking that tower. Caitlyn, why? What? Why? Why is this happening, Pulse? Please explain to me. I don't understand.
There's lots of strange things happening in this game, Spuddington, which I can't quite explain. It's like, will Caston stop Lissandra from pushing in the inner turret? Nope, he's gonna farm mid. Will Caitlyn take the top turret when it's completely open and it's 2 versus 1? Nope. Gonna get items. I just don't understand. Maybe it's the fact that this is a different meta, because this is, of course, Eastern Europe. We're used to EU West. So maybe they're not really that focused over objectives as much as we are.
Maybe?
I don't know.
It's very hard to tell. It's one of those things where it kind of... The other thing, of course, is that we are very used to casting some of the best teams in Europe. And no, you know, offense intended to the teams here, but
being dug.
Hole being dug. No offense to the teams here, but this was a tournament which I believe was open to less players. But Jarvan is going in.
Comes in along with a glacial path, looking for the big ultimate from the Sandra. Follow with the Piltover. Now Dogflight locked up too. Still on the front lines, and Gabano trying his best, but he just doesn't have the damage. He's not tanky enough either. Frozen Tomb finally comes in onto Vayne, saving that ultimate. He's so low, and then we just realised Shen is behind them. Auto attacks him to death. That's a 2-for-2 trade. Now Shen is still kind of there, but no one's really dealing with him. He's now jumping onto AOD. Flag and Drag comes out, misses. Flash looks for the last auto attack, gets it with the Vorpal Blade. Strangleforce locks him up, and that's just the battle of the two, like, mountains. They're doing things to each other, but it's not happening very quickly. Flag and Drag Cataclysm comes out. This will be the slowest fight in history. Jarvan realizes that's not the right decision. Caitlyn's back here now. He's still following after. Jesper has the double buff. They're still following. And now
Aatrox is there.
Out. He should be good. Aatrox is there. What? Why? And gets picked up with the ace in the hole.
As to the question why, I can only answer because it was a peculiar set of decision making there. I mean, just Shen was too tanky for Jarvan to take down solo, and indeed Shen could solo Jarvan, and Kayle was just way too far away to react in a reasonable amount of time. I can understand making the calls he did, but then Aatrox just passing by, casual as you like, getting picked up in a very unfortunate manner. It's not ideal. To be honest, it's not really ideal for either team there. It was a curious exchange.
I know, it just looks so lackadaisical. It's just walking by, it's like, oh, hey, guys. And then realised Caitlyn was there and with the ace in the hole. For some reason, that just seemed like a comedy sketch. But 7 and 6 right now. We've got neXt Please still ahead in the game by about 2k. Even though the last fight was incredibly messy, I'm not even sure who won. But it's interesting. This is one of the most interesting games I've casted for a while.
Yeah, and remember the onus is definitely still on, on neXt Please. I keep trying to call them neXt Gaming, but then I'm like, wait, no, but it's Guru Gaming and it's neXt Please. But regardless, Guru, please. But regardless, neXt Please have to make stuff happen, and they are sort of succeeding at the moment, but the question is whether they're succeeding hard enough. Jarvan thinking about going in, but they want this dragon. The thing is, they can't afford to get caught in a massive Fiddlesticks ultimate at this stage. It's going to do a lot of damage across 5 people in that compact area.
Vision Battle coming out. Scorpion throws down ace in the hole just to kind of soften them up, but there's nothing really to write home about. Again, they're looking for the initiation. No, he's not. He's just kind of backing off. So
He looked for it, he didn't find it.
Like,
missing.
He wanted it before, and now he kind of doesn't, even though he now has his ultimate of Cataclysm. I'm confused, Buddington. Please explain.
Well, I think partly it's a matter that he just kind of had that moment of doubt. And if you are an initiator and you start doubting yourself right before you go in, you can make very poor calls sometimes. And better to be safe than sorry in certain cases, and this is probably one of them, given there is significant amounts of money riding on these games. So probably going to be just thinking, we won't take that particular chance. Gonna wait for a better opportunity. Also has to wait for Lissandra to be able to follow up, and I think maybe she was a little bit far back.
Yeah, potentially, and honestly, Guru doing the right decision, moving Shen into the top lane, because they realised that, well, a team fight isn't going to happen, and neither team really wants it. They got to the stage where it was like, actually, I'm not really sure why we're here, because we don't want to fight. We were fighting over Dragon, but we kind of, moved away from that now, so I guess we'll just push out all the lanes, and now it's gone back into the kind of laning phase, where Shen is in the top lane, we've got the duo lane in the bot lane, who've just recalled, and kind of the 3-man in the mid, but neither team really looking to do anything.
Well, both teams were kind of having that standoff at Dragon. Neither of them were thinking, right, we can definitely engage this, we can definitely win. So Guru kind of rotated themselves around and said, okay, you can have the Dragon, we will go for your middle outer tower. And they were able to kind of get in position almost for it, but it was a quick reaction that came out of neXt, please, and they were able to stop that from happening. So yeah, in the end, they ended up just in the mid lane, but this fight could be
Yeah, we'll see who picks up the Dragon. In fact, no one's gone for it just as of yet. The Zhonya's comes out and the Frozen Tube onto LT. Flashes forwards, looks for the combo, gets dropped in the process. Dragon comes down, Aatrox picks that one up. And now Dace picks up another kill as Fiddlesticks. Jesper's still looking to pick up more blood. And Gabano locked up. He's tanky, but he's not tanky enough against 5 men. And no answer from his teammates. 3-0 trade. And Guru pull out ahead.
Yes, indeed, and I have no idea what I meant when I said Iggly, but regardless, Jarvan, yeah, getting just destroyed there, and that's kind of the power of this team. They have so much CC, so much diving potential, and Vayne is a very independent carry with pretty good peel from Fiddlesticks right now. They are just a really, really strong team, and like, as was mentioned, they're only going to get stronger.
I guess you could say that only this is going to get Iggly quick. Maybe that's what you were looking for. You know?
There are no Eskimos. I don't know. I
There are
just
always
don't.
puns to be made, Paddington. Always.
Well, it wasn't really a. Did that qualify as a pun? You just said what I said,
Yeah.
which was wrong, admittedly.
I made a pun out of what you were saying, which was inherently wrong.
But I was already using it in that exact context.
Were you? I didn't even.
I said it could get ugly fast or Iggly fast.
Oh, I thought it was a play off for LT's name. That's why I was getting confused.
Wait, was it? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't
You tell
intended to
me,
be.
you made it.
I was intending to say ugly, and it
Oh,
just
okay.
came out wrong.
Fair enough. Iggly Pop.
Iggly pop? Oh,
Dunno.
yeah.
Alpha Pop.
Iggly pop. Alright, regardless, Shen has a Sunfire Cape. He's in the top lane, stuff's happening like that, and Renekton's doing something remarkably similar in the bot lane. Jarvan might catch Fiddlesticks.
He's slowly wading away at him, and Oracle was a funny colour to me, but I'm going to be backing on off, and I'm glad that I don't read the language that has currently been pelted at in chat, and a lot of it says Commentora and words after it, which I'm only going to assume is good things.
Compliments, all of it. There is no such thing as something which is not complimentary. However, Shen is now taking advantage of the fact that he is Shen and the rest of his team is so mobile. He's pushing that top lane and there is the constant threat that the 4-man could rotate top to join up with him. And they are also mobile, so they're staying far enough back to make sure that Shen is free to push that top lane.
There's very little that they can do apart from getting a pick. Cataclysm comes out, but this is only going to be to support, not the person they want to open up against. And Alex gets completely locked up. There's nothing he can do. They're kind of locked in the Wraith Pit. Jesper now comes in from top. He's come and joined in with the action. A Kree Assassin wailing away at the support. Again, dropped into his blood well. Zamano wrecked, jumps back in. Void, the Rift Walk, into the auto attacks. Doesn't quite pick up Caitlyn. That's a 3-for-1 trade just as of yet. And now AOD still looking to kind of assist, but everyone's so low, not really sure what they want. The 2 tanks in the mid. And everyone is backing off, but still, a 3-for-1 advantage to neXt, please.
Yeah, it was a slightly good situation there that was slightly made worse by Lysandra accidentally cancelling her glacial path so that she was outside of the Cataclysm, then getting locked up. If she'd followed up perfectly, it would have been glorious for their team because Renekton was right in the middle of them with the Dominus popped, putting out tons and tons of damage, and she was kind of left dithering a bit around the edges. Still coming out pretty good for them. That could have been a lot worse, certainly, and it got them into a situation where they were no longer worried about the Shen split push. He wasn't able to force them into that lose-lose situation. It did, however, reveal Shen versus Renekton 1v1. Shen is now definitely stronger.
Yeah, I think the last team fight, even though very odd, it was kind of a show of strength within each of the team's regards, like the AD carries, and then, as you said, the tanks, the top laners, how are they doing in the game? And it's kind of shown where both these teams are at. It's kind of funny that essentially the build for all tanks nowadays is just Spirit Visage or Randuin's or Sunfire Cape, and a lot of the time it's like Sunfire Cape and Spirit Visage. I know that a lot of Shyvanas like to do that because you just jump on top of someone and then you just can't get the dragon off you. But Hole comes across, not Logitech, Gabano looking to pick up the stun onto someone, but again, doesn't quite happen. And this game is very even, but as you said, Guru have the much better late game, so it kind of feels to me that neXt Please kind of need to go for a team fight, but don't want to.
They went for that one before, but they can't. They're having a lot of problems dealing with the Shen split push. That's the thing. They haven't got a duelist on their team that can cope with him. And that just means they are now caught in this really awkward situation where he is pushing back Renekton, admittedly very, very slowly, but he is doing it and they are forced to engage. But if they engage, that's going to make it very difficult for them to. It's very difficult for them to engage on the people they want, because Kassadin and Vayne are very slippery. Aatrox can jump away, and if they jump onto Fiddlesticks and blow a load of cooldowns, that risks being an overcommitment to murder a support.
Yeah, very, very true. Someone in chat just saying that it's just a different meta and different strategies of EU East, and I can kind of understand that, but it's kind of like the innate mechanical things that you just kind of like expect, especially when it comes to like picking up towers when there's a tower there. But I guess it's like they just want to go for more late game team fights and then like go for an entire fight, make sure everyone's dead and don't take any risks, and always go for objectives after like a clean ace, because that's kind of a recurring thing I've seen Spuddington. Like, they don't choose to go for objectives unless they have definitely won a fight, like a 5-for-1 or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, remember there is actually innate value to leaving a tower up to just eat through a minion wave, and sometimes there is innate value to losing a tower early so you can build up a very big minion wave of your own, but they're going in with you.
Yeah, Flag and Drag lands on 3 into the Stranglefunds, locks up another 2. Crow Assassin on the back, but it's just Scorpion and AOD sitting there wailing away against that entire team of Guru. Finally, Jesper locks up the back line, but he's mainly just trying to kill Jarvan, who still gets out. Double kill for Renekton, 3 for 2. Jesper's still there, and LT also in the game. Caitlyn has been dropped, and also Jarvan was looking to recall in the next brush. Again, 2 for 3 trade, another advantage to neXt Please.
However, they did not come out of that fight well enough to then take the dragon. Renekton is here, but if he fights this, he is seriously, seriously endangering himself. And indeed, I suspect he's not going to be able to get this unless he can steal it.
Yeah, he's actually gone in with the slice and dice, and he actually gets it with Call the Meek. What a kick in the lower regions. LT still following after. Again, slice and dice comes out, but man, what a baller.
That was brave play by Renekton, and the fact was that LT, instead of focusing down Renekton, tried to finish off the dragon, and in so doing put it on about 10 health just as Renekton was coming out of his stun. So a windfall little steal there. I've got to be honest, I don't like making that kind of play. Like, logically, I don't think that play should have worked, but it certainly did, and that has connotations in this game that will give them that advantage on the gold again. But it feels like they're not opening up a big enough gap.
You know, plays are kind of those strange things that kind of happen. Like, plays can go either way, and you can either look really stupid or look absolutely amazing. So I feel that most plays are counterintuitive. They're things that shouldn't work anyway, but by pure mechanical skill, or because of the perfect call you made, it works out. Yeah,
there's kind of a confidence statement to it, but when you're up against the ability to spike damage like a Vayne with the 3 Silver Bolt procs, I don't know, can you rely on that really? Doesn't matter, it worked, we can stop talking about it now, but Shen is in the top lane.
He is, and they're going to look for a duelist. It will probably be Renekton, but they're not looking for it just as of yet because the flash comes down and the Stranglefunds locks up too. Flash comes in, and the ultimate, the Frozen Tomb onto Zabano Rex. Now with Assassin still in the mid lane, he does have his passive. They can get off, and that will be so valuable. But now Jarvan gets locked up. LT from the side. They're not all here just yet, and now they're moving in. Renekton on the front lines, he's so tanky, and the back line has been locked up, but he's going after the support. Scorpion is still there, but he doesn't have the damage. Gets hit by Terrify. They hadn't used it in that fight. And that's a 2-for-1 trade. And Gabano is still being chased after down by Shen. Double kill for Vayne. 4-for-1 trade. This could easily be the ace, and Shen wants it, but Renekton gets out of there. Looks like they're going to go for the Baron.
And these messy fights are the ones in which Guru's team comp excels, and in which Vayne particularly is a monster. And I actually like the uses of the locket there to keep Crow Assassin alive, because an errant attack from Baron would have killed him there. But Shen will be able to tank that up. They will be able to get this. Unless Jarvan is able to get in there, he does have his flash available. It's going to be close, actually.
Yeah, he's coming over the wall. Can he get this steal off? It will be the steal off the sentry. Jumps over the wall, flag and drag. Alas, it's not going to be the play we were looking for. And the Cataclysm comes out, delaying them just by a couple seconds. But honestly, they're just looking to recall. Again, it could be messy. Gabano, will he choose to go for this? He jumps over the wall. The slice of dice comes in. It's just so dicey. He gets locked up. The dark passage, the dark flight, sorry, comes in.
That was certainly a play. He tried. What he tried to do there was count down the exact timer on a recall, I think, and then time it to go in. But the thing was, everyone was a little bit, slower to recall than he expected. So they were all still up when he went in, and he just got decimated against the wall and really, really given a rough time. So now, for the first time now, I believe Guru are ahead on gold. They also have that Baron buff, and their team comp is now really starting to get alarmingly strong. This is kind of hitting a point where, yes, they can still win fights if they get a really good initiation off, but so long as Guru play this carefully, so long as Guru split push, so long as Guru don't get caught out, this is their game to win.
Yeah, there were lots of chances earlier on for neXt Please to come back into the game, and they have thrown away a lot of those chances, but I still feel there will be more in this game. So I don't think it's completely over, but they're very limited and they can't really see those opportunities coming, and it will be kind of reaction based. It's like, okay, we need to go for this right now instead of like being able to open it up themselves. They're going to have to reactively play this game, and that's always the worst thing, or the worst position to be in a game. You want to be the one initiating fights, the one initiating objectives, so you're there first and they're not you're not reacting to them, but that's the position neXt Please has to deal with.
Yeah, it's essentially Guru Gaming are, oh boy, actually catching out Gabano, but he managed to get the slice and dice off. Yeah, it's one of those things where they have a really good proactive team, but the problem is it's so hard to pin down guys like Caston and Aatrox. They are having such trouble. And the other thing is, if Lissandra tries to initiate or Jarvan tries to initiate, they get 3-second feared. But if they don't initiate, Shen just continues to push, and now Renekton cannot possibly fight.
Yeah, and they've actually sent Lissandra up top, which is, it makes sense because she can clear the waves very effectively and Shen can never push against them. But that's committing Lissandra, one of your biggest damage threats, to top lane. So if they go for this fight, I'm not even convinced they'd win, because Shen offers considerably less to a team fight than he does by split pushing. But Lissandra, she is their playmaker. She's 5, and 6. She's the one who needs to be cleaning up the kills. So if they don't have her in the fight, there's very little chance of them actually winning unless they just sit in the turret for 5 minutes.
The turret will get poked down eventually at this rate. Unless they are, unless they go for this initiate and get it good, they are not going to be able to hold that turret. And indeed, it's going to drop fairly quickly, but this doesn't change the situation. They may be able to wait out the Baron buff this way. It is nearly done now, but they are getting pushed back on their heels. They are in a lot of trouble, and it's a confident team from Guru who may have overcome.
Yeah, they are backs against the wall. Darkflight comes in, Flag Drag lands onto Free, Cataclysm comes out, they're still locked up under the tower. Alex comes in and gets completely decimated, doesn't even get his Frozen Tomb off, the instant animation. And Scorpion back underneath that turret. The zombie there as well, and Zobano Rex, he jumps onto Scorpion once again, Rift Walk. Crow Assassin there jumps onto Gabano, and this looks like it could potentially be the game. Ignite comes out, he tries his best to potentially finish off Dako, but it's not even going to be close. Zyra is the last one standing. That's a 4-0 trade, advantage massively in favour of Guru Gaming.
And I think this should be the game. They've got another creep wave coming in. They're a little bit lacking, in fact, on creeps in general, but AOD cannot plausibly defend this one-on-4, sorry. Well, one-on-1 either, to be honest, but 1-on-4 at all. And they will be able to take away that Nexus. At last kind of walk in from Alex, he just underestimated the aggression of Kassadin. He underestimated the 2.6 second silence and its effect on your skill combo as Lissandra. Unfortunately though, that will be the game. Guru take it pretty convincingly in the end. I believe we should be able to get the next lobby up relatively quickly. Indeed, I will make that myself to ensure that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you after a hopefully quick break.